Okay, I am so excited because I have my first guest on the Embodied Entrepreneur podcast today, and it is Geta Barbu. You guys, I met Geta in a mastermind that I'm in, Jillian Murphy's mastermind. I talked about it in the previous episode, and I immediately was like, this girl knows her shit. Like literally. She is a gut health expert, and I'm going to let her kind of explain all of the ins and outs of that and what she does. But first, I just want you to know, like, I'm bringing on somebody that's going to change your life, or at least like give you nuggets so that you can have more insight onto how your body operates and how to like really make it work for you in a way that you might not have even known was possible, truly. So, Jetta, thank you so much for being here. Will you tell everybody what you do, please?
Yeah, thank you. I love that intro. Like I literally do know my poop. I do. I am known as the poop lady. Yes. Hello, hello. Yes, I am Geta Barbu. I am a gut health practitioner and certified nutritionist, and I help reverse and heal chronic illness and also keep your autoimmune in remission 100% through nutrition, which is a big deal because when you hear gut health, a lot of us hear supplements. We hear, you're spending $300-400 a month just on supplements, and like that's it. Like peace out, right? Like you're giving a bunch of supplements and that's it. So yeah, I'm 100% through nutrition and I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me here. This is always an exciting chat. Like you and I just like, we met and it was like fireworks. I was like, yeah, let's keep talking. Let's keep talking. And so, yeah, I'm excited to be here.
You're right. It's like the first time we had a conversation, we are like, and this and that, and absolutely
Yeah.
that. And like, we have to talk about, I need to get this word out to my listeners. And so I'm just so excited. Can you like tell us a little bit about what got you into this field?
Yeah. So specifically for chronic illness and autoimmune, I live with a chronic illness. So I have liver dysfunction. And if you're not familiar with liver dysfunction, it's pretty much your liver doesn't work 100%. So mine works at 50 the last time I checked. Maybe now it's a little bit lower. A chronic illness is something that we're given like a diagnosis or given something like, and just to be clear too, a chronic illness is anything from type 2 diabetes and includes autoimmune. So type 2 diabetes, Hashimoto's, rheumatoid arthritis, psoriasis, lupus, all that stuff. And it also is like just chronic migraine, chronic pain, chronic fatigue, eczema is considered an autoimmune. So that those kind of things, that's what I help. And my really big like thing of why I started was because I've dealt with this my entire life. Like my story is a little bit long, so we won't get into that. But I was just born with health issues, and my mom didn't know what was going on with me. And as a child, I was just like really, really fatigued, and that just was not okay, right? And like I had so many labs done, and all my labs came back, oh, she's fine, everything is fine. And I'm over here like cramping up at like 12 years old, like cramps, waking up with cramps, not sleeping, acne everywhere. Like when I say everywhere, like I had like forehead, chin, nose, like my cheeks, my chest, my back. Like it was just so insane. And my mom was like, okay, I know she does very high competitive gymnastics. That could be it. It could be the chalk. It could be from working out so much, da, da, da. But like Natalie, I used to eat like a grown man at like 8, 9, 10 years old. Like I would order from like when we like went out like to restaurants or whatever, I would order from like the adult menu and I would eat it all and I'd be like, I can still eat. My mom was like, and I was very, very thin, very thin. And at 12 years old, I had 12% body fat and I was still eating a lot. And so that was initially what was like after years of like seeing your kid like having issues, eating a lot, not gaining weight, like right, like I was really short. I was really short, petite, like and like how someone like this, like and everyone was like, oh, it's because gymnastics, gymnastics since your growth, and like those are the things that like we all the time want to like. I don't want to say like gaslight, but like a lot of people like when we see someone that's not physically ill, and that's why chronic illnesses are considered an invisible illness, is because we seem okay. We don't have when you have a broken arm or a broken leg or that's visible. You have a cast on. You can see that, like, when you go to like reach for something, you can't reach like that, right? Like things of that nature. And that's visible. That's very, very visible. When you have a chronic illness or autoimmune, it's like, I'm awake, but I didn't say I was functioning, that kind of thing. And people don't see that unless you were to live with me, then you'd be like, oh, okay, there's something there, right? But
Yeah.
by the time we get there, it's really like, what can I do? And that was the thing. It was like, what can I do? Like, this is not me. Like, I'm the person, like, I like to live my life, right? Like, I just went 4.5 hours to go see a concert with my husband and my kids because I'm like, I love concerts, I love music, I love dancing, right? Like, how is this going to affect the rest of my life? And this was how I started thinking at like a very young age, because I was just so continuously in pain and having issues.
Yeah.
So yeah, so when I finished off school, and then the pandemic happened and all these things, I really had some time to think. And I said, I think I want to help people, like, number one, actually use my education, because
Right.
who's going so my education is in neurological development. And when you study neurological development, you have to study gut development. It's kind of like when you study the heart, you have to study the blood flow. You have to study like everything else that includes the heart, right? So that's what my education was in. And then when the pandemic happened, I had children. I was like, what am I going to do? Because I have this education, I have this background, I have this experience. What am I going to do? So I was like, I think I'm just gonna give this a try and really like help other people that have very similar issues like me. And we're gonna bond and it's gonna be great. And yeah, so here we are.
Oh my gosh, that's so great. And one other thing that you're talking about, your, chronic illness. I think we're used to acute illnesses. Like you get sick for a specific amount of time and then you get better.
Yeah.
Like even it could be pretty serious. Like you could have cancer, but then you will go into remission. Like
Yeah.
now you could argue that's kind of a little bit chronic as well. But when I think correct me if I'm wrong, when you have a chronic illness, when it's like it's ongoing, people don't understand, are like, why are you still like this, or why is it still happening to you? And it's so then you feel like the gaslighting thing happening to you.
Yes, the stats of chronic illness, just like regular life, like the relationship stats, the divorce stats with people that have chronic illness are very high. I do not know the exact percentage, but I know that is very high. Like, because there's so much that goes into like, or really, really just being transparent here and having a conversation. Like when my husband met me, he met me when I was still having liver attacks. He met me when I was getting over like I was gluten free. I did keto for so long. I was dairy free for so long. Like I was doing all these things for so long. And he met me when I was just like beginning to introduce all the foods, which is something that we'll talk about here, obviously. But it was just something that like I was like, yeah, I need to do this because I'm so done living this life right now. I was not living life, really. It really boils down to that. And when that was when my husband met me. And even now, like if there's issues, or if he sees that I had like a flare up, like a month ago I had a flare up, but it still wasn't even, Natalie, it wasn't even half as bad. Like now, like it was just acute to versus like where it was 8 years ago, you know? And when we think about that, and like, I just like, my husband was like, oh my God, okay, what do we need? What do we need? Like, he was more like, oh my God, because he was used to seeing me have a flare up. He was used to, but not many people have that. And this is why I talk about like a support system. This is why I talk about community so much, because when you get to that point where you have other people that know exactly what you've been through, know exactly where you're coming from and exactly where you're going, like
Yeah.
that just makes all the difference. So like all these things just put together is like, okay, this is why, like, I'm about to be 31 years old. Like a lot of people are like, how have you been living this long with no supplements, no prescription pills? How have you done? And I honestly, this is why I talk about my husband in my life, in my personal life often, because that's why there's so many people around me that are like, yep, like we know Jetta has this issue. Like we know some days she's not going to be able to clean the entire house. We know sometimes like, right. And just having that communication and that like understanding from other people.
Yeah, and there's so many directions that we can go in here. I did want to touch on the connection between when you learned about neurological function, you had to learn about gut function. Can you talk a little bit about why that is?
Yes, I love this. We're
All
about to
right.
geek out, everybody.
Yeah, we
We're
are.
about to geek out. Okay, so neurological development and gut development starts in the womb, right? And we like to think that if a lot of people want to say if the mom is not eating right or whatever, but a lot of times it really is hereditary, and a lot of times it is environmental. So I'm gonna kind of like really talk about my story just as an example. So I was born in a day in April. We're not even really sure about my birth date, but I was born in a day, and in Eastern Europe in Romania, and my mom, my biological mom, had abandoned me at 8 days old. I have met my biological family, and this is another point of like closure that I personally have. So I've met my biological family, my mom, my dad, all my brothers, all my sisters, all the cousins, all the, whatever. And she was very, very stressed out, very stressed out. And I'm sure like nothing insane happened to her, like eating wise or nutrition wise. Maybe she was also, malnourished as she was pregnant. Yes, very possible. And it's actually very common. Like even if you're not in, a poor living life situation, it happens very often in pregnancy. But I know that she was very, very stressed out. And out of eight children that she had, not one did she keep. Like she always like either to an orphanage, abandoned, to another like given off to like another family, like things like that. So clearly not okay, right? But the issue was that I was born sick. So I was born sick, and my mom, my birth mom, was like, because I said we've met, right? And the biggest issue was that I couldn't eat. Like I would eat and then spit it back up, eat, spit it back up, right? So that was a huge thing. And okay, so let's like now move on kind of. So I was abandoned at 8 days old. I was kept a secret in a hospital. And then after that, I was pretty much just kind of like transferred over to an orphanage. And in the orphanage, if you guys know anything about Eastern European orphanages, they are not at all okay developmentally. So if it's not okay developmentally, your gut is going to suffer. Now here's the connection. So there actually is like a brain gut connection. It's called the gut brain axis. It's actually a branch of functional medicine. So when we think about my first 3 years, not having that like connection with a birth mom, right? Not having the proper nutrition. Guys, I did not see a banana. This is something that like I just kind of laugh about now, but really is a point that this is how important nutrition is, and eating everything. Not this is why I'm like not into elimination diets. A lot of people like we talk often, right? Like to people, and in a lot of people are like, yes, I have a chronic illness. Yes, I have this. So I have to delete. I have to delete, and I say delete because to me it's like delete.
Yeah.
I have to delete gluten. I have to delete dairy from my diet. I have to delete sugar. And so many people get surprised when I say, no, that's not it. That's not what's going to heal you. That's going to heal you maybe for like 3 months, and you're going to feel fine. And then after that, you're going to build up other problems. And I always say this, that you start off with like the letter A with problems. And then the more things that you eliminate, you're going to end up with a whole alphabet of problems. Right. So this is coming from personal experience, that when I was going through that, and like I said, I was going through lab tests, there were so many things at such a young age that I was kind of like exposed to, because again, my mom, my adoptive mom, who is my mom, right? She was like, wow, like what is going on with this child? Right. And I don't know, and we'll never know, if I was like this as an adult, I don't know if anyone would have done that for me, right? Because as an adult, we're like, oh yeah, well, she's also a mom, and she's also a wife, and she's also, she owns an online practice and blah blah blah. Oh yeah, she's just stressed out, right? But like, I don't think that's normal. I don't think there's so many of us that like wake up with pain and we just kind of live through the pain, and it's like there's so much more to life. I've been there, done that. That's not necessary. Okay, so if the first 3 years of my life were really like not ideal for any child to grow up in. And now we have some serious inflammation. So like Natalie, if I were to show you a picture of like when my parents first saw me, I was like very small and I was like very thin on my body, but like my face was very like inflamed, my shoulders, my arms, they were like really like chunky, you know? And my mom and dad first gave me a banana. And I didn't know what to do with a banana at 3 years old. I didn't know what to do with a banana. I wanted to eat it with like the skin and all, you know,
Yeah.
the yeah. And it kind of hit me, you know, at when I was going at the beginning of like my gut health journey. I was like, you know what's interesting is that at 3 years old, I did not know what a banana is. I can't imagine because I don't remember, right? I can't imagine the things that I did eat then, you
Yeah.
know? And it really kind of brings into perspective, especially if you have kids, right? Which you know,
Yeah.
your kids are eating like bananas at like 6 months old, 5 months
Right.
old. It's like they know, they see you peel a banana. Like, what in the world, right? And when I became like, you know, you go to school, as you're developing, there were so many things that were like, you know, my speaking, my I was really into like reading and writing and like poetry, like ever since I can remember, right? And I was really good in that. But like the speaking part and like the explaining and like expressing myself was really difficult. And I still think till this day, I think that was something that was just like me enjoying reading and writing. I think that's why I liked it because it was like me expressing myself. So I wasn't okay developmentally. And neurologically, I'm just gonna like mention just a few things that are in our gut. So
Yes.
we have 90% of our serotonin that's contained in our gut, right? And then we have GABA neurotransmitters that are also in our gut. So a lot of people think neurotransmitters are in our brain. They are. Not as much as you would think, though. Majority are in our gut. So we have serotonin, the GABA neurotransmitters, we have dopamine and norepinephrine. All those four, which is actually our four main neurotransmitters that we need to actually keep homeostasis. So if we have like, just as an example, so if we have like cortisol that's really high, it actually takes those four to be able to keep cortisol as a homeostasis. Because that's another thing too. When we talk about like root cause and things like that, like that's why I do 100% believe if we are okay mentally and we've developed mentally, I think there's a lot of people out there that can resonate with this, that you know what, I had like a tough past and that's why I'm sick. And I just don't think so. I don't think so. You don't have to be the product of your environment. You don't have to be the product of, you know, your past. You can have a pivot at any point in time. It's up to you.
Yeah.
So now going back to that like gut brain connection. So I clearly did not I have very low serotonin, very low dopamine. I was very like monotone. I very, you know, like how parents like take videos of you and like, oh my gosh, she's so cute, blah, blah, you know, like those Christmas videos,
Yeah.
right? All the time when I spoke when just because I learned stories. That was it. And I never really was like, you know, the like super happy nor super sad. It was just like very monotone, very like for a very long time, right? And growing up, obviously being a gymnast and wanting a family and traveling, right? Because like I traveled, right? Doing those things, that was kind of when I had realized like I'm so bloated constantly. I have so much acne. I'm in so much pain. I'm also, I feel like it was almost like I'm behind in development, in mental health status, right? Like I didn't really understand my feelings. I didn't really understand those things. In fact, recently, again, I'm 31 I'm about to be 31 years old and I'm still learning things about myself.
Mhm.
So, there is actually a psychological development of understanding emotions. There's a name for it right now. I can't. It's like Alexia something. I can't think of it right now. There's a name. There's a name for everything these days, right?
Yes, there is.
Yes, and it actually comes from the first 3 years of your life. So being able to label your emotions, being able to say, "Hey, I'm sad," that's something that I was not able to do, right? And I recently learned this, like that's what it was called, right? And I was like, wow, okay. And that's an issue. If we're not able to really pinpoint honor, acknowledge what we're feeling, our moves, our choices that we're going to make are going to affect your body. An example that I can think of is I have a one-on-one client who she was very, very stressed out in the past week herself, right? And a lot of things, and this is just again it's a very simple like um thing that we do, like a psychological phenomenon that we do whenever we get stressed out, whenever we're not able to like honor and acknowledge what we're actually feeling, what we're going through, think about how many times you get higher cravings for sugar, higher cravings of carbs, right? Like things like that. And then quite the opposite. So every time we're stressed out, like, do you have constipation? Do you have diarrhea? Again, this is why I'm poop queen over here.
Yeah,
Apparently,
yeah, poop
we just
queen.
talk about poop already, whether we want to or not, right? Um, but just think about it like that. When you're nervous, right? Do you have constipation? Are you more in diarrhea territory? That's that gut brain connection. That's that gut flora telling your immune system, your DNA, your brain, it's talking back and forth and it's saying, hey, you know what? I need more of this bacteria. I need less of this bacteria to keep homeostasis. And I want to add into when we're talking about the gut brain connection, there's so many things that we think like if you start with problem A, start there. Don't think about problem B, C, and D. Think about, you know what? This is the main symptom that I want to help right now. So for me, it was two things: insomnia and the fact that I was just so crampy, so crampy. So those two things really ruled my life for the longest time, and I kind of just kept with that. Did I have other issues? Yes, I did have other symptoms, but ultimately that's what got me to the right lab test. It got me to the right people. It got me to, oh, okay, like this is what's happening. And when I finally got diagnosed, I was like, that makes a lot of sense, you know?
Yeah.
So it was really like that. So when we talk about gut brain connection, think about just your day-to-day life. A lot of people make a lot of things really complicated. It's not that complicated. When you're nervous, what happens to your body? When when it's cold outside, what happens to your body? That's that brain, right? The brain is telling you, yes, okay, I feel that the skin tells the brain tells the gut, right? All those things are connected. It's all interconnected. Nothing in the body happens in isolation. So hopefully that answered that question.
Yeah, totally. Like, no, I love the illustration of it because that's how we can identify to things is what we have gone through ourselves and experienced and how we got ourselves out of it, which is why it's so great to have people like you that have experienced all of it and figured it out. I remember when we had our call, because I'm trained in the nutrition side of things and habits and all of that. And when
Yep.
you said your gut health is about 20% nutrition, I was like, yeah, that makes so much sense. And that's kind of what you're talking about. It's the like there's lifestyle factors, there are lifestyle habits that you can do to help your gut without having to remove everything. And we are made to believe
Absolutely.
that it's complicated because that's good for marketing. Oh, it's so
Yep.
complicated. Here's all the things you need to do. So could you just tell us a little bit more about the behaviors that can help somebody like that they can start right now with their gut health?
Yeah. I always say like the top three things to kind of like if you want to start out on a gut health journey or you want to really help your gut. First thing is first start looking at your poop. Honestly and seriously. Like when you know that moment, like when we like wake up and we're like, oh my God, I had a great poop. Like you should be doing that daily, right? Like
Right.
even if you don't have a good poop, like if it takes like you texting your best friend or your mom or for me, it's my husband. And I'm like,
Right.
hey, husband, I just had a fantastic poop. Let me tell you all about it. You should totally be doing that. Seriously. Because when we're looking at our poop and we're kind of tracking our poop, and when I say tracking, like think about like the time and what it looks like, what it smells like. Does it smell? What color is it? That kind of thing. When you
Mhm.
begin to have that, you kind of begin to have this like, oh, you know what? I actually do know what my body is doing. I do have control of my body, right? When you start to again acknowledge, honor, and execute those things, right?
Yeah.
So definitely look at your poop. Like seriously,
Okay.
look at your poop.
Write that
Number
down, everybody.
Yes, yes.
Start
Number
there.
Yes. Number two, look at your environment and check out if you're actually stress managing or are you stress coping. This is a big
Mm.
thing. A lot of us want to say, like, yes, I am stress managing because I am doing, XYZ, and XYZ can be like working out. It can be doing so many extracurricular activities, but I always say make the time to take the time because that's right there where we can say we kind of sit with our emotions and it is so uncomfortable. I totally understand. It is so uncomfortable to sit with your emotions. It is very uncomfortable. The more you do it and in very small blocks, like small habits, big impact, right? So if we're sitting there and we're like, man, you know what, today really was hard. It's as simple as that. You know what, you walk through the door and maybe you see the house is a mess. My house right now is a mess, right? Like it is what it is, right? If I actually verbalize or I talk it out or I move it out, like, hey, I clutter, I am having a hard day, find a way to get that out. Keeping emotions in is a huge, it's like counteractive to healing. It is hard. And what I do is not easy and it is not sexy. I am the first one to tell you that. Like I'm the one that does it and I'm gonna be honest with you, right? It is not. But it is so much more sustainable. And for me, number one, that's the number one thing. I cannot imagine having 8 years ago. I really was I started being more consistent. I started my gut health journey 12 years ago. 8 years ago was when I was like, because that's the thing. When you are starting any sort of wellness journey, right? You're like, yes. You're like really hyped up and you're like, yes, I'm gonna do all the things, right? And you do all these extremes and you have this ambition. And at one point, like that motivation stops. That's why motivation is BS, right? And so
Yes.
you really have to like put in those habits. You gotta really do the inner work, right? And so 12 years ago, I was like, yes, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Again, like I told you, I was like, yes, I'm going to do keto because I heard keto was great for your liver health. I heard, detoxes were great for your liver health. And da, 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 da. And I spent so much money, the money that I didn't have. I was working like 3 jobs and I was like, I'm going to do it because my health is a priority. But I was stress coping. I was not stress managing, right? So I had spent so much money, so much effort on doing so much extremes when a lot of answers were just right here. They were just
Yeah.
inside, right? And I would learn after the first like 3 years, I had learned that doing the extremes was just hurting me. When I was taking my supplements, when I was overworking out, I mean, I was working out 6 days a week. And even on like the Sunday that was like rest day, I still would go for like a jog, like
Yeah.
those sort of things really like oh yeah, they were really good because it like I had so much dopamine and so much endorphins, right? Like the high of working out or the high of actually making those extreme moves. I totally get it. But that high, that motivation, it runs out. So what do? So you're in this cycle of like, I'm stressed out. I want to do something extreme. I'm going to feel great for 3 months. Again, not feeling great. Now I'm stressed out. Now I'm going to do another extreme because that extreme didn't work, right? And so you're
Yes. Yes. I see this so often. I'm so glad you're talking about it.
yes. So that's again that's number two, really. Like look at your stress management. And if you are stress coping, again, literally just admit to yourself, just be, truthful with yourself. Yep, okay, Jetta, like you are calling me out. I am stress coping, right? Stress managing. There's kind of like, I guess, like a number one, number two, and then number like two and a half. Stress managing really is talking things out. If you have a best friend, if you have a mom, if you have a husband, if you don't have none of those, but you have yourself, write it out. Journaling. And a lot of people think journaling is like some like, oh my God, this has to be like 5 pages long. No, if I were to show you my journal right now, Natalie, it's like sometimes it's just like two words. And
Yeah.
like it has nothing to do with my health. Like 2 weeks ago, I wrote for one day, all I wrote was tell my husband blank. It was like something that like I had to tell my husband to do because that was like one of his things that he had to do. And he's forgetting, I'm forgetting. I just remembered when I started journaling. And it was like letting go of that. And then I let go of that like thought, like, oh, I gotta tell, I gotta tell, I gotta tell, I gotta tell. It was like in my head. And when I wrote it out, it was like, oh yes. And my husband like walked through the door and I'm like, hey babe, like you really gotta go do this. Oh yeah, thanks. Thanks for reminding me. Done deal. It was like my stress, like just like
Yeah, and those are the little things that people like. You don't think that if you don't think that's connected to your gut health, then you really need to do this because just the tension and the stress of keeping it in your brain thinks, I got to remind her again. I got to remind her again. So that's why you write it down. Your brain's like, well, she did something with that. So we're good. We
yes,
can let
yes.
that go.
The science behind that is keeping your cortisol up. Your cortisol is supposed to go in waves, not in mountains, right? So if you're continuously saying, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta do this, well, then living your life like, being talking to your clients and having space for your clients because that requires work, right? So having space for your clients, cleaning up the house, doing just regular life things, right? Go picking up your children from school. If a mom comes up to you, oh my God, hi, have you been? Right? Like you gotta have space and energy for that. And if you're like, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta do that, like, are you living? Are you living? Are you having this conversation with this mom from school that like is so excited to see you, right? Like, are you spending time with your kids and like, hey, you know what? Like, I don't like a lot of times I only have a half hour like in the morning with my kids, and then maybe like 2 hours during the day because the rest of the day I'm like, okay, I gotta work, I gotta do some things, right? And in the half hour and in the 2 hours, so half hour in the morning and 2 hours in the evening, if my mind is free, I'm in the moment. If I'm in the moment, then I'm not stressed out. I'm not this it's not something that, playing with my kids or talking to my clients or something like that. Like I have space in my mind and my heart and my soul that like, hey, things are okay. And now, scientifically and chemically, now we're also having our cortisol go at normal cycles. We're having our circadian rhythm being really happy, right? Like my brain can tell me that it's nighttime at 8 o'clock, not at 12 o'clock, right? Like, things of that nature just kind of has this domino effect.
Yeah.
Two. So, okay, that was two. Woo, that was really
Yeah.
long. Okay.
Two is important though.
Yes, it is. And then three, honestly, it would be make sure that you are not overcompensating in your nutrition. And this is a big thing. When you are going on a health journey or wellness journey, this also does include like stress management, but there's a lot of things out there that we're told, like buying all the time, buying organic all the time, doing the like expensive detoxes or like meaning money, spending money equals health. And that's not necessarily true, right? And again, I'm saying this and like I own an online practice, like this is what I do, right? But
Yeah.
like this does not have to be expensive. It does not have to be like you do not have to buy organic all the time. You do not have to buy raw milk, even though raw milk, yes, it is the best. Yes, it is fantastic for us, but you don't have to do that if that's not where you're at. So meet yourself where you're at and know that as long as you're having whole foods, really that's going to be that hope and not freaking out financially about being on any sort of health or wellness journey.
Right. I love that so much because we can go, I think it goes into like almost like this is the controllable that we understand because as a culture we're just not really focused on, we're hyper focused on getting things done and being, capitalistic society, like we're not going to get into that, but like, we have to do, right?
Yes.
That's what we're focused on. So we're like, okay, well then if we have to do, then I have to do more here with my food and like my exercise and all that. But really it's when if a parent asks me, what can I do to help my kid get on the right track? Like, what should I feed them? I'm like, actually help them learn how to deal with their manage their emotions. That's what I want you to focus on first. Because if you
Yes.
can do that, then they can eat a variety of foods and they're going to be fine.
Yes. Yes.
I do,
Absolutely.
I do have a question because a lot of us are entrepreneurs that listen to this podcast. And so why is it so important for us to prioritize our health, specifically gut health, and as it connects to like your neurological function as well for our business? How is this going to help us?
So going back to like very recently what I was saying about like stress managing, right? You're leaving space and having that space for other things to happen, for for higher conversations to happen. When we are talking daily, this isn't like once a month, this isn't like, right, like again, like be honest with yourself, this is daily, where we have to have that emotional expansion for our clients. When we're doing that, so if you're good and you got space for yourself, you got space for those higher conversations with your clients, you're able to read your clients at a better level, you're able to connect and emotionally be there for your clients, you're going to have better results. When you have better results for your clients are going to be like, oh my God, Natalie, she's the best, she knows her stuff, oh my God, I have to refer people to her. And like, and I'm a big believer of that. Like I really enjoy referrals because my clients are honestly the most amazing people. And I do think birds of a feather flock together. So if my clients are amazing, anybody that they know are going to be equally as amazing. Right. And to be able to connect on that level, to be able to say like, I'm just going to give an example. So if I ever am like stressed out, or like my kids are like crying, like just they're having an emotionally very rough day, right? Yeah. A big thing is like, I literally tell my kids, you know what, mom needs to do some like stretching and some breathing, because mom right now, she doesn't have space for this. I literally tell my kids that my kids are 4 and my daughter's about to be 2. So 4 and 2, small children. And that's another thing too, that like, without going off like on a tangent, but kids understand so much more than we think, you know?
Yeah.
There's like, mom does not have space for this, and mom has a meeting in a half hour. Can mom just like sit right here? And I'll be like in the living room, I'm like stretching, and like I put on some like meditative music, and I'm like, can mom just do this? And a lot of times I'll be like, yeah, and they'll still come to me, and like one of my favorite parts is like they'll literally start like stretching and doing like the cobra, and then my daughter like will like put one leg up and she'll be like, yeah, mama, and I'm like, yes, that's it. Like just having that moment, that micro moment, because when I have that, then, you know, a half hour later, biologically, right? Like my cortisol is down, my adrenals have calmed down. You know, all those hormones are, my entire lymphatic system now is like now draining, right? So like now I'm feeling lighter, right? Like things of that nature. And when I'm doing that, I also have this like, you know, okay, what else can we do? What else can we, right? And I'm really there in that moment, digging deeper for my clients, so my clients can have more aha moments, so that my clients can really like, you know, we're on a conversation for 1 hour, and that 1 hour they're like, oh my God, we went through so much. And I'm like, good. Like that's fantastic that you got so much from 1 hour. Like we still got 6 months ahead. We still got 6 months ahead, but that's fantastic, because that's the thing. Small habits, big impact.
Yeah. And I bet you hear this all the time. Like, okay, I thought I was going to hire you for gut health, but like, this is holistic. This is like my entire life is changing from these conversations. And you're like, that's gut health. That's the point.
Yes.
I can imagine.
There's a lot of people that say that there's so much correlation, which again, it's, I'm not surprised by this. There's a lot of people that say, well, there's so much correlation between like what my therapist says and what you say. And I'm like, yes, I'm not a therapist. That's not my scope of practice. But there's so much correlation because again, that gut brain axis, that vagus nerve connection, that, right? And like what we say, what we do, our environment, all that, it does affect our gut health. So when we're talking about therapy, what are you doing in therapy? Your cognitive behavior. So when we're talking, when you're checking in with your clients, that's cognitive therapy. So when you do that and you have that space for your clients, you're able to kind of be their like mini therapist, mini like, right? It's kind of like their best friend. When something is happening, you call, okay, similar to like the poop thing, right? Like, oh my God, I just had, like, when you have good news or bad news, what person do you want to reach out to? And that person has space for you, because y'all are like are so connected emotionally. You guys are so connected in your lives. You guys are so connected, like it's almost like your lives are parallel, right?
Right.
And that's a lot of times I tell my clients this, like my clients' lives and my lives are very parallel, because I have a chronic illness, I have children, I work, right? Most of my clients all, you know, they work, they have children, or they're married, or they're trying to have children, or right, like they're right there with me, right? We're all living this life, right? And so and again, it just helps so much more when it's coming from someone that's been there, done that, helps in that situation, you know?
And so like for business owner, what I'm hearing you say is like, if you're an entrepreneur and you're like, okay, but yeah, I need a strategy, I need leads, I need like, yes, but this work on yourself, starting from your health, is actually going to separate you from the rest of the crowd. Like you're going to be able to connect and do and create more space for your clients to make those breakthroughs because you have your health on a deep level.
Yes, yes. And you have like self-awareness. The choices that you make, I think really do affect us, right? So when you're in that good mental space, when you're good with yourself and maybe not like good with yourself 100%, but like if you're starting to understand your body, you're not going to go for, and this is so funny because I literally just had this conversation with one of my good friends. You're not going to hire that coach or that person or that professional that's like grind, 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 grind. You got to do this all the time. And that's not you. But it takes the inner work for you to know what it is that you actually want. So when you hire that coach that's like, a good example, like Gary Vee, right? Like, stay up all night and do this and do that and like, have a morning routine and blah, 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 blah. If that's not you, that guy's not for you. That person is not for you if that's not you. But there's also that like line of like, is it not you? Or do you have resistance?
Right. Oh my
And
gosh,
so,
yes. And I've told Jillian this a million times, our mutual mentor. I was like, I
yes,
had so much resistance to you. But now, like getting in her world, it's like completely different. I can see it's the part of me that was just afraid to kind of really show up bigger and me, like really be me. So I
yeah,
totally know what you are talking about there.
yeah. There's so many people that, they'll message me at least five every single day. Truly, Natalie. There's someone that will message me and be like, you know what? I really like what you say. I'm so glad I don't have to take out dairy. I don't have to take out gluten, but I'm scared to do that. No problem. That's no problem. I totally get that because I was there. I was there. It's comfortable. It's comfortable and easy to do the elimination diets. It's comfortable and easy to, hire that person that's promising such great, fantastic things, such in a very short period of time.
That's where you need to be, wary about how short this turnaround
The
is going to be.
time, yes, the turnaround, the time, the like, and even for yourself too. Are you that person that like you enjoy the deeper talks? You enjoy, and I say this too, like me and my husband, we're people that like if we watch a movie, it's like documentaries and like we're talking about the universe and we're talking about like we're having this like geek out evening, you know what I mean? And it happens almost every night, really, where we're talking about something and it's like mind blowing, right? Like it has nothing to do with our health, it has nothing to do, but it's something that we enjoy talking about. And when you dig into that, like what conversations are you having with your friends? What conversations do you want to have with your clients? What conversations do you want to have with the professional that you want to hire? What kind of conversations are you looking for? We are not the same. No one is the same, right? But there is so many similarities in who we are, and like look for that because that's who I am. That is who I am. A lot of people are like, oh my God, like Jada, do you read anything else besides biology and like books like that? And I'm like, I do kind of
Once in a
you know, but
while.
once in a
Yeah.
while, but like that's just me. I really do enjoy it. Just naturally. It's not like, right. But not everybody is like that. So what do I like? I like music. I like rock music. I like EDM. I like, things of that nature. I also like walking and hiking and nature and movement, simple movement. So just kind of finding your 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 bestie, really, your bestie that you're like, yeah, like what correlations does my bestie have? What correlation do my clients, does my mentor have? And again, when I look at personally, when I look at all my clients, when I look at myself, when I look at our mentor, like such similar humans, raw, real, like straight shoot people, that the scrappy classy people, that's what I like to think about, like scrappy but classy, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Classy about it.
Yeah, that's what I think. So when we leave that space to say, hey, you know what, this is who I am, I don't like working 24/7. but I like playing with my kids. I like helping people. What can I do? You know? Oh,
I
my
love
mic's up.
all, I love, oh my gosh, I love this so much. Like I could talk to you for hours and hours and you might have to do a part two,
You
but
know?
I have two more questions for you. The first one is just like, let's say there are people that I've come to, they're like, okay, I have a lot of good habits in place. I'm connecting with you, Jetta. But there's still a couple pieces missing. I know you offer different kind of testing and things like that. What kind of things do you offer and how can people find you to connect
Yeah.
with you?
Yeah, thank you. So there's so many ways to work together. And I say that too, like we're working together. You're not working with me. We are working together. We are a team. So first and foremost, I always have consultations available. That's really like when you have so many questions or you've been gaslighted or you want clarity. It's as simple as that. You want some clarity in your like lab results from your doctor's office, you want some clarity on like how did I get this diagnosis, right? Like that kind of thing. A consultation is great. I also run functional medicine labs, and just to I have over a hundred labs that I can offer. But just to kind of give you like a, a short list here. So I have a HTMA lab, which is hair tissue mineral analysis lab. That's the biggest bang for your buck. I always say that. It's
Good to know.
fantastic. Yes, the Dutch test, which is for hormonal, and then I also do micronutrient blood testing. I love that too because a lot of us like there is so many different levels when we are studying hair tissue or urine or things like that, and there really is a difference when we're studying our actual blood. So those things. I do not run food sensitivity tests because I do not believe in them because they
Right?
are yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for everyone listening, that's something I don't do because they actually are BS. So if you've ever spent your money on it, I am so sorry. If you're looking to spend your money on food sensitivity tests, I am not the one and do not do it. You
Right.
know,
There you go. Just cut that out and
yeah. Yes, and then I have one-on-one. My one-on-one program is a 6 or 12 month program, and then I also am opening in March. I'm actually opening up a group program, which is going to be so fantastic. In that group program, there's going to be other professionals, guest speaking in it. Again, it's really verbatim what we've been talking about is really finding your people and finding the people that understand you so you are able to heal at such a faster rate, one, and also you feel very, very included. You know that you're being heard, you know that you're being seen, because like I said, when I had met my husband and he knew that I was going through that, that was a big thing, that like, okay, this person actually understands me and he's not going to gaslight me ever, and he's not going to, kind of push me to the side, right? Like really finding your people. So yeah, so those are the ways.
amazing.
Yes, I also have free fun stuff to do too. I have the health circle chat. We meet the first Thursday of every single month. And in that we talk about like hot takes, like why does Bill Gates own like 20,000 acres of farm, like things of that nature. We talk about books, we talk about like things of that nature, just really open conversation. And then I all the time have free masterclass going on. So yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm going to link all of this in the show notes. So you guys are probably like taking a bunch of notes, but don't worry, I'm going to link it. And then my
Yes.
final question that I will be asking everybody I interview, but you're my first person, is what would you say your life's purpose is and how do you embody that every day?
I love that. So my life purpose, and this is like going really into what I want to do for forever and ever, is help people, and help people in a way that is very much me. I have been doing like I've been coaching for a very long time. I coached gymnastics for a very long time. It was amazing. It was fun. Um, just feeling of I can do things, and that's amazing that I can help someone else transform their lives. And that's in any way, if it is through coaching, if it is through, having an online practice. Eventually I do want to actually help out kids that are in an orphanage and help make some more sustainable nutrition plans for them. So that's like another thing that I really am looking to do, in the next couple of years. But yeah, really helping people out, because there was very small help when I was growing up, very small amount of help, if any, and in like terms of like like the development wise and things like that. When I look at that, I just think about like the nurses that decide to keep me a secret in the hospital. If they never did, I don't know where I would be. And so just like from that, from looking at hindsight, like just helping people, just,
Yeah.
when good people help people, good things happen,
And
So
I see you embody that every day in like your content. It's just everybody needs to go follow you on Instagram. So again, I'm
thanks.
going to link that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And my Instagram is jettas.digest. Totally forgot.
Yeah.
Jettas.digest. And then you can also find me on Facebook. Just search up Jetta's Gut Health and it'll pop right up. Yeah.
Yeah. And Geta is Geta. So make sure
Yes.
y'all get that
Yes.
right.
Yes.
Well,
Pronounced like
thank
the
you.
car, not spelled like the car.
Oh, right. I love that. Yeah. It's pronounced like the car. That's good. Well, thank you so much, Geta. You have been just a wealth of information, but also just so inspiring too. So thank you so much for being here and being my first guest.
Yay! Thank you so much. Again, this was like such a good this was going to be amazing. So thank you so much for
You're welcome.
having me. I appreciate it so much.
Yes, you're so welcome. Thank you so much. And I will be talking to you all soon. Have a great day.